hang na wasupu, miu hang pia na mapedi.
The hustle is free, but the dream is sold separately. Welcome, good people. Welcome to Dojonosti. I'm your host, Jacob, aka the Black Aristotle. Our information on the electoral process is from a 45-minute lesson ulifunzwa high school. If you did history ama pale primary kwa social studies kwa 25 minutes fulani you are taught. So there's not a lot of education out there, and I understand it is our own personal prerogative to learn about these things. But when the person doing carrying out the process is introduced to the public almost like 3 weeks to the election, the system that was being used, people learned about it extremely late. And you can see that the discrepancies or possibilities of arise from a lack of understanding of what was being used or what was going on. It's mad. But umenotice bana, all these lawyers are gonna very shiny heads, man. It's like they all told they were bright kids when they were young. And I don't even like, I'm trying to think if going to the Supreme Court is now going to be part of our electoral process. Itafika point where every election inakuwa challenged, inapitia hii process, and a win of some sort is decided by the courts now. So what is the purpose of voting in itself? So it raises a lot of questions. The validity, or not even the validity of, but the repercussions of a decision from this hearing, because to say, you petition and lose, and now it becomes that you will always lose when you petition. So you just accept whoever wins it, however they win it. But that aside, I don't know what we expected. I don't understand what we actually expected. We always funny, we expect Western freedoms, but with our own Africanism in there. It's like the same way we expect Western fatherly actions from African dads. We expect our African fathers to hold up the same responsibilities and principles as what we've been exposed to as the ideal picture of a father. And that's why we do this, especially with America. We all want to have apparently white American dads because they are shown to be the most supportive group of fathers in the world. Or maybe if you are like a boxer or gymnast from Eastern Europe, you will have a very supportive father because you have to make it for the whole family. But it's weird because when you compare ourselves to countries like America, and you realize America got its independence in 1776, while you got out in 1963. These people voted for the first time in 1789. 1789 they were already choosing and voting. The election went from December, I think, 1788 to January 1789. Well, for us, for the first time, as a country, we voted for ourselves, in 1963. That is when we voted for our government. Yeah, and even if you try to go earlier before that, we had a vote also in 1961. And when you want to look at the legislative, and that is now, Kenya now voting in 1961. That was the first time we voted as a country in February, I think. And if you even want to go further back into the Legislative Council, where the first vote that was not a white person was in 1920, and I think that was the LegCo voting in general as the Legislative Council. And the first Kenyan was Eliud Mato, I think, in 1944. And this was convenient because this was after they'd used like 98,240 Kenyans in the King's Army Rifle, what was called King's Army Rifle. So tukiangalia vitu kaa hizi, and we still expect some form of change or improvement. It is not easy, man. It is difficult. But we still hope, we live in hope. But now, all this electoral drama narrows down to a matter of trust. Because if 4 people show up on the day of the results looking like Fantastic Four after destroying half of New York because they saved it from Moleman. But it's just a matter of trust, and the Kenyan experience is very understated, I guess, or it's portrayed differently. Like sometimes it's over amplified, and other times it's understated. But half the time, most of us are just like Maramu stocks, patched up on a stranger's roof, living our own experience, not knowing what's happening under our feet or over our heads, just living in hope, I guess. And nobody told us it's supposed to be easy. Nobody told us life has answers for us. We always have questions for life, but no one told us where we were going to get the answers. And sometimes you have to find answers for yourself. Because I dropped statistics about fatherhood and all that, and we are a generation of men wenye tumekosana na familia zetu, lakini tunaenda kusikiza Andrew Kibe, Andrew Tate, or it has something to do with the name Andrew. Maybe I should call myself Andrew. It will make you listen more. Which is a statistic that David is one of the most changed names. You know how parents have a baby, then they're going to change the baby's name later. Yeah, a lot of parents name their kids David, and they're like, shit, now I have Dave for a kid. I have to change the name. It's funny how people choose names, wonder. Because if social media has shown us anything, we cannot be allowed to choose our own names. You're having parents naming their kids 7, 4. Do you know the arrogance you have to name your kid as a number? Like, you're basically saying that you will be so rich that the applications don't matter. But yeah, it's crazy, man. But to each their own. Juu hakuna answer kabisa. Yeah, man, a lot of crazy things have been happening. We saw that famous footballer Paul Pogba is being blackmailed by his own brother. But this is not a surprise. For any successful person knows that your friends and family are always the first people to change when you come into money. That is expected. And there's always an African responsibility where our money has to always go up. We always say wealth is supposed to go down from one generation to the next, but we all know the pressures of being Africans and being firstborns. So you have to be the firstborn. You have to pay the African firstborn tax. That's what you have to do, regardless of anything. But crazy things are happening in the world. Those are just simple complaints that we like to have. In our heads, we imagine a perfect life that we hope to live and execute, but we never know what is the standard of perfection. So what defines difference from one to another? We were told the other day that in Venus, you can walk to the sunset and never reach it forever. But if you check, because it's spinning so fast, first of all, how do you, this doesn't even make sense. Who measured how long a day is in Venus? Because a day in Venus is like 110 to 116 days on Earth. So these are just crazy hypotheticals. How do engineers know? We put a lot of trust on titles. Na saizo umefunzwa na mwalimu ana spend half the time on TikTok. Na tunaamini hiyo title yako kama engineer, daktari, professor, whatever. Sometimes we even boot it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Crazier things have happened. I saw that the Minister for Education, George Magoha, wants to reintroduce corporal punishment in schools. And, first of all, as a person who went through high school in Kenya and the Kenyan school system in its entirety, you should not beat kids. But again, as somebody who was a kid, and a particular decade, for that matter, some kids need a little bit of, slapping here and there. But some teachers are weird. I have had teachers who used to pinch our nipples, in primary, crazy, inner thighs. Some teachers like had fetishes or whatever. And speaking of fetishes, I saw in America, in Missouri or something, spanking is being reduced. Not spanking, they even have a paddle for it. Like they're not very far from sexualizing them. It's like anime. I can never watch anime in public. Well, I do watch anime, the fighting ones, but this is a drama. Those are just one step away from hentai. Just one step away. And now I'll have to answer mad questions about what I'm watching around people. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I know the real episode I talked about AI models. Well, he went and had an AI rapper, somebody who called himself FN Maker, who was existing, I guess, in the metaverse or something. And we eventually found out it was a white person who made a black rapper and was saying the N-word. That was basically, this person just made an AI to be racist. So yeah, crazier things are happening, man. People are just finding creative ways to be racist, man. At this point, it doesn't even matter anymore. It does not even matter anymore. This is where we live in. And this is the times we exist in, crazy things happening. Speaking of crazy things, I saw a 9-year-old boy was arrested for driving on Mombasa Road. And then the dad was like, yeah, see, he drives to school every day. And I remember even being in, but 9 years, bro, 9 years unafika hadi kwa pele. This is a tall 9-year-old was like, god damn. Yeah, man, but yeah. I remember. And I remember being in primary and seeing kids driving their cars to school. And so these are things that have been happening. Some parents are so rich they feel like they can risk the child's lives. So, more power to them. Oh yeah. Speaking of more power, the new Nairobi governor said he's going to divide the county into boroughs. We'll have now, which I thought you already had. We had Nairobi East, West. Now there's North and South. So, sijui if I'll have to now start learning new gang signs, depending on where I'm from, and nikihama from. Do I have to learn new, and are we going to have new guns and sets? Well, it's going to at least be good for rappers. They now have sets to claim. Obviously, East and West will always claim the red and blue. So North and South mtapiga colors gani? Black is probably going to be there. I take black, but no white. Jibanda za white ni kuosha kila siku, so siwezi kuwa part of that just because of that. So it's crazy, yeah, but so it was a good trade, new gun sites for our sites we're representing. And I hope, that aside, it actually works, because dude came with nice ideas, but all incumbent governors right now have nice ideas. The one thing they've all done is return borders to the people. They'll do one gesture. Oh yes, we'll work. Like Sakaja told the county workers that all their arrears are going to be sorted eventually. And they're going to get at least, monthly payments this year on time. About next year, we'll know when we get there. Nairobi County has also taken tax collection away from KRA and it's now back to the city county. It's the county's prerogative to now collect tax. And tax is a very funny story because you pay 30% tax. Just think about that. America pays 37%. Especially for 30. Here 7% is enough to bridge your gap. But again, with that, a lot of people don't pay the tax, and all the taxes they should. So we can't raise enough funds to implement all the changes we wish. So as Kenyans always complain because
Miu hang na wasupu, miu hang pia na mapedi.